All right, it's time for our crappy culture. So I've been getting some letters because of my podcast that people want me to stop making fun of Devin Nuñez's name, okay? Now, I noticed, and my wife noticed, that for a long time, people didn't know how to pronounce Devin Nuñez's name. So every time you'd go on a different show, it'd be Nuñez, it'd be Nuñez, and I was watching all these different guys, and I started to think, well, what's his name? Look up his name, what's his name? So I started making jokes about it, and people were upset, apparently saying Nana Nunu is a no-no. And I think, they started to say that the joke was old and had lost its newness, or Nuñez, or Nanu, or whatever it is. And, I think the thing is, I understand that these are serious times. And as conservatives, we want to be serious people and talk in a serious voice like I'm talking in now. Because otherwise, if we're silly and we're making jokes, we might start laughing and giggling and having a good time. And then, if somebody's walking by the conservative room and they hear us in there having a good time, they might want to become conservatives, and we certainly wouldn't want that. We don't want people joining us because being a conservative is great and has a lot of fun. But the thing that bothers me about this is that no one complains when I call George Stephanopoulos George Suckaluppagus. Nobody ever complains about that. And that nobody complains when I make the joke that Donald Trump has so erased the legacy of Barack Obama. Although he hasn't erased the legacy of spying and corruption, but he has erased the legacy of regulation, and even Obamacare is on its last legs. And I say, he's erased the legacy of Orama or O'Hara or whatever his name was, and nobody ever complains about that. So what they're really complaining about is that I'm making a joke about one of ours. Devin Nuñez has been heroic. He really has. I mean, heroic may be overstating it, but he has been terrific in hunting down the papers and the documents that expose this infiltration of the deep state into the campaign of Donald Trump. And when I say the deep state, I'm not talking about some imaginary conspiracy. I'm talking about this administrative state that progressives have put in to defend government action from the voters. This is a group of people who don't get elected, and yet they make regulations that have the force of law, and we can't get at them. And the intelligence community is part of that. And Devin Nuñez, or Niner, whatever his name is, has actually done a terrific job. So I'm actually not making fun of him. I'm just being a little silly because nobody knows how to pronounce his name. And the bigger issue here for me is following people instead of principles. This is how the left got themselves in trouble. They thought Barack Obama was the second coming. They didn't even believe in the first coming, and they thought Barack Obama was the second coming, and so whatever he did was fine. Silence your political opponents with the IRS? Fine. Spy on a political campaign? Fine. And the problem with that is it comes back to bite you when people start to say, okay, well, you did it. Well, we're going to do it too. I mean, this is what you get with sexual malfeasance. Teddy Kennedy left a girl to drown, and yet the left continually told us he was the lion of the Senate. He was the lion of the Senate. You say, not so much. He was actually a guy who left his mistress to drown because they were following people instead of principles. And I think it's true of us too. I think Donald Trump is actually shading over into being a great president, but he's not always such a good person. I mean, we don't have to say that it's a good thing that he slept around. We don't have to say it's a good thing he cheated on his wife. Over the weekend, I was at a place, this very nice lady, she was kind of scolding me about saying things like this. And she said, well, Donald Trump is an alpha male. And I said to her, alpha male is a category of ape. It's not a category of human being. An alpha male is a category of ape. And to me, cheating on your wife when she's pregnant, cheating on your wife at any time, to be honest with you, is not a sign of being an alpha male. It's a sign of really not being able to control yourself. To me, the alpha male is the guy who knows how to control all his urges and actually has his soul in control of his body. So all I'm trying to say here is, yeah, I make silly jokes. I do. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to be entertained. I think if you watch politics and you don't think the absurd is fun, you're just going to be miserable. So I do make these jokes, but it's not about the people. It's not about the people. It's about the principles. And remember, the whole point of all we're doing is this country and our freedom. That is the story that we are telling. We are telling the story of this great country and its great freedom, but we don't have to lie. We can tell that story straight because it's true. All right, I'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. Thanks for being here. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. And our technical producer is Austin Stevens. Edited by Emily Jai. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.